Kieran reporting there. Now we'll take you back to Sydney to Martin Place, where Michael Rowland has been for the last day or so, overnight and into this morning, near that floral tribute. Michael, good morning to you. And Rachel Pupazzoni is in downtown Sydney as well. Rachel, can I start with you? I know you've been out and about speaking to Sydney-siders this morning. What are they telling you in the aftermath of this tragedy?
A lot of people are clearly very affected by what has happened here in Sydney. People clearly shaken. I've seen people in tears embracing each other. So this is something that has shocked the entire wider community. A number of people that I've spoken to have been on their way to lay flowers in tribute. We're near a flower cellar and he's sold out now actually. There were lines of people all morning on their way just up a few hundred metres to lay flowers as part of that tribute, which is swelling. I've spoken to a number of people this morning in Martin Place and they're saying a range of things. The general message though is that they're shocked and saddened, but it's time to move on. Let's have a listen.
It shocked me, seriously. Like, I'm a Muslim and I don't at all agree with what that person was claiming to do.
I was getting family ringing me, asking how things were. Even though I'm at work down at Woolloomooloo, and it's just unbelievable what went on in the city. I don't think a lot of people will never get over it.
I think it's just a sense of great sadness. I just feel sad at the moment, walking, thinking about these poor people who have died. Terrible tragedy.
I've found that, I've grown up in Sydney for the past 22 years. I was born back in '92, and just to see an event like this happen in Sydney, it just saddens me.
The words themselves are compelling, but it's really just the faces, Rachel, as well, and the way people look and the way people carry themselves. It's something that can really break you, a situation like this. And Michael, I know you've been hearing this from people as well. It's not just those who are out and around and involved in that, but it terrorises an entire city.
That's right, and it is really touching, the sort of messages we're reading on the cards attached to these bouquets, these bunches of flowers. And the bouquets are growing in size as the hours tick by. You read one recently. It was obviously a message by Tory Johnson's former colleagues at the Lindt Cafe, and it reads in part, "You are not just a manager, you are family. There'll be a hole in the Lindt family now that you're gone. Not a day will go past where we don't think of you. Your bravery will forever be remembered by us and the entire world." There's just but one message, Virginia, of the hundreds attached to these flowers. Just to my left, there's a long table where condolence messages are being more formally signed by the people coming here. And it picked up in speed from 6 o'clock this morning. There were more people at 7, and now just gone 8:30 as people arrive for, say, a 9 o'clock start at work. There are dozens upon dozens of people here walking up Martin Place to the Castlereagh Street end with their bunches of flowers, signing that book, writing cards and laying the flowers, and often just standing there in a minute of silent reflection for the lives lost and paying their very personal tribute to both Tory Johnson and Katrina Dawson.
And Michael, of course, as it logically does in the aftermath of a tragedy like this, questions now being asked about how was it that the shooter was able to be out on bail? Are our security services and systems working as well as they need to be?
Very big questions to be asked, which will be hopefully answered by the very detailed investigations which are getting underway, firstly into the sequence of events in the siege and its bloody aftermath, but also why Manher and Monis was out on bail in the first place on an offence, on an alleged offence, which was being an accessory to his wife's murder. This was a chap as well who was already convicted for sending those vile letters to the families of Australian soldiers killed in Afghanistan. We had the Prime Minister Tony Abbott just this morning saying that yes, it was perplexing as to why this man, this clearly unhinged individual and sadly, as it turns out, extremely dangerous man, fell off the security agency's watch list because he had expressed his sympathy for extremist views in the past, and by rights should have been not on that watch, not just on that watch list, but right near the very top of it. So Tony Abbott himself is asking questions about why that hadn't happened, and also questions about why he was granted bail in the first place, why he wasn't in custody for very, very serious offences.
Absolutely true, and those questions being continued to ask today. A very important parliamentary committee hearing about to get started also on security matters. Rachel, if I can just come back to you. We can see behind Michael and behind you the city getting back to normal. Are all streets open now? Are all train stations operating as normal?
Not quite yet, Virginia. As you mentioned, people are definitely going about their business, and a lot of the roads that were impacted have now been opened. In fact, yesterday police opened Elizabeth Street, Macquarie Street and Hunter Street. Of course, that immediate area around the Lindt Cafe, which is the corner of Martin Place and Phillip Street, remains a crime scene. Police are obviously continuing their investigation. Martin Place, the thoroughfare is completely open. George Street behind me, Pitt Street, the next one along, are both open now, and traffic is moving freely. Buses are continuing to move, and the trains are running. Martin Place train station remains closed for probably about another hour, and then that will be open, and any other streets that are closed will all be open by 10 a.m.
Rachel Pupazzoni, Michael Rowland, thank you, and we'll come back to you a little later before we end our program this morning.